here's where I'm at today. My real estate team has sold 3,500 transactions, 180 million in the last 24 months. We've been ranked as high as number 9 in the country out of over 1.5 million agents. And I did $800,000 in wholesales in the last 12 months, and I'd never done one before until I met Kent. So I've got some information to share on how we do it. I do it differently than most of you in this room, so I hope to add some value there. So I want to talk about my model. My model, I was blessed when I got in the real estate business with no money and lots of time. Like, what a gift, right? I had no marketing. My marketing budget was my time. And so my model is that everyone in your company is in sales. I grew my entire real estate business by banging the phones. So we hammer the phones, it's what we do. Everyone in your company is in sales, period. From the receptionist to your operations person, everyone has a chance to touch and impact revenue. The next thing, I believe that any goal, any financial goal can be hit with 3 hours a day of lead generation. I don't care what your model is, but I think you need to spend 3 purposeful hours per day working on generating revenue, right? We all do 2 things. We service revenue and we generate it. I believe that the generation of the revenue has to be done for 3 hours. I also believe that it has to be done from 9 to noon. So all of our agents, we've got 22 people in sales in my company, and they all come in and they hammer the phones from 9 to noon. The reason is people always ask me, Brett, is 9 to noon, is that the best time to make calls? No. It's the only time you can consistently do it. There is a higher answer rate on phone calls from 4 to 7 p.m. I will tell you, if you build your model around it being from 4 to 7, you'll never do it because what happens? Stuff gets in the way. Life, that's typically when appointments. So as a fundamental concept that I want you to grasp as I'm out here talking for the next 45 minutes, you should be doing your lead generation in the morning and appointments in the afternoon. People on my team will say, hey, I've got an appointment tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. I tell them, no, you don't if you work here, because you're going to be here with a headset on from 9 to noon. That appointment's got to get moved or pushed. So that's my belief. When I think of any marketing strategy, this is what goes through my head. I got a couple of my guys on my team, they'll know that this is exactly what happens. They say, I got an idea. We could do this $10,000 thing in marketing per month. And I go, that's cool. How does it beat a dude in a headset? I go right back to that, because I know a dude in a headset, I know what that costs me. A dude in a headset, I pay $2,000 per month for a guy to come in and hammer the phones. If you are only going to hammer the phones in sales to do something like this, I have them do a 3-hour session in the morning, an hour of like cleanup, housekeeping. They'll go to lunch, they'll come back, they'll do another 3-hour call session, and then another hour of housekeeping. So my guys that are just going to be on the phone are going to call 6 hours a day. And I'm going to walk you through some of the metrics. If it's you, I'm saying, and the definition of this person, I'm saying this is someone whose only goal is going to be to generate leads via the phone. We pay our people $500 per closing if they're banging the phones, in addition to the $2,000 for an inbound. If they create a lead, if we have a lead that we direct to them and they work, $1,000 if they're making the calls outbound. It's a basic model. You can change it to your needs. So over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to really walk you through the 4 keys to crushing the phone. There's 4 things you've got to nail to make this happen. The first thing is you got to build your list. You got to know who you're calling, and it's got to be organized. The next thing, you got to know your KPIs. Just like the KPIs on the back end of marketing, you've got to know the KPIs on the front end of what I call the effort metrics. You've got to know those. Next, you've got to perfect your long-term follow-up, because when you're marketing, when you do direct mail, what you guys do, the leads come in, right? The follow-up is not as long. Okay, it's a shorter sales cycle. When you're going to make outbound prospecting calls where you're reaching and creating a lead that didn't exist previously, the life cycle or closing time is going to take more time than an inbound lead. And lastly, you've got to leverage the right tools. I'm going to talk about what that looks like. So the reality is, if you're going to get on the phone, there are only 2 valid excuses of why anyone can get on the phone. There are 1,000 non-valid excuses like, I'm busy, I have the wrong headset, I'm tired, I'll get to it, right? I've heard them all. There's only 2 valid ones. I don't know who to call, and I don't know what to say. Those are the only 2 reasons, and I'm going to teach everyone in this room to solve those 2 problems. The first thing is who to call. You got to build your list. The best list, you guys have an unfair advantage being in this room. The best list you should all be calling is the one that you're already mailing. If that list was good enough to pay, and I don't do direct mail, guys, so 50 cents, $1, what does it cost to mail a piece of mail? I don't know, I'm not being funny. What's that? 46 cents. If it was good enough to pay 46 cents to mail it to, it is good enough to pick up a phone and call them to ask if they got your letter, okay? And I would test it both ways. Hey, did you get my letter? I mailed you something. And hey, I just happen to be calling you, right? And I'll walk you through what we say. So the first list you want to do is upload. You want to get that list together. The next, focus on the neighborhoods that your cash buyers are interested in. If you've got people and you know they're in a certain area, well, then call that area, right? You may be mailing to a subset, but call the area. The next thing, I would go with foreclosures. Every market in this country still has a foreclosure problem. People do not know that there's equity. When I say foreclosures, I'm talking both notice of defaults and I'm talking about 60-day lates, getting the people earlier in the distress cycle. Oh, 60 days, so there's my next one. Absentee owners is the other list we call. People that they either live in the state or live out of the state, we call all of them.